Hey guys, it's Samuel Larsen here. I'm bringing you another really action-packed video here with a ton of examples. This one is about Klaviyo flows and which Klaviyo flows should you have when you're starting, which ones are the most important ones and how to structure them. So we're going to go through those most important ones. I'm going to share with you a lot of examples and we'll take it from there. First of all, Klaviyo is a platform for e-commerce email marketing. If you're not aware of that yet, you can check more about that from the Shopify App Store. And in my view, it is the best of the best. Now, why do we spend so much time and effort optimizing our Klaviyo and talking about Klaviyo on this channel? Well, the simple reason is that on a typical e-commerce store, you can expect 20 to 30% of your revenue coming from email marketing. Now, that is last click attribution for 5 days. So if somebody has clicked on your ad or your email within 5 days, those will be attributed to email. However, it is still significantly important when trying to not only make revenue, but actually make profitable revenue on your ad spend. Like those little pieces that you can squeeze on matter so much. So that's that. Email marketing is huge. And this is not going to be your standard school presentation. I'm going to go over a ton of examples and everything's 100% actionable with regards to these flows. Now, a couple goals here for today. So getting started with email marketing in general, or in specifically Klaviyo, in a way that can be used long term. So avoiding those common pitfalls early on. I've seen countless accounts that are built in a way that makes them unusable. So that's our number one goal here. And this way you can take it forward and it's going to be a long-term asset for you. Second point here, iterative. So launching iteratively, meaning that you are going to get easy wins early with low effort so that you can start to benefit from your email marketing program. So we want to be quick in moving forward, of course. However, many times the quickest progress is actually a bit slower since we will be able to launch it more effectively that way. So if we just launched the whole email account at once, you'll just end up in spam folder since it is a very unexpected blast of emails coming from your account all of a sudden. So these email providers will pick it up and they will flag you as spam automatically. Now, third point here, these flows will enable you to scale the traffic better with better visitor monetization and help in boosting conversion rate and long-term lifetime value. You will be able to afford to pay more for that customer. And when you are able to do that, you will be able to smoke your competition. And when they cannot compete with you anymore for those same clicks, you are going to get all the love or all the attention from Facebook, for example, and you can just dominate on that platform. All right, very briefly about launching in stages and why that is important. We break it down to month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, and also on the first and second half of that month. So this is meant to work as an iterative launch, starting from the most high impact thing, which is the abandoned cart flow, then configuring templates and the setup in general, then moving to the other couple of most important flows, which we will cover on the next slide. Why do we do this? The most important thing is ensuring email deliverability, and that is going to be the underlying theme here today. So every new domain email account comes with a neutral reputation to start off with, and it takes time to build up a good reputation. And domains with bad reputations, they will be hit with penalties, and that will impact the deliverability, which is not only unfortunate, but it's a huge long-term business risk, because once you are flagged there, it's difficult to get unflagged. So you can improve this deliverability by having good engagement early on. So we want to start with those emails that generally have a lot of engagement, and then build up the account from there. All right, 3 foundational flows for your e-commerce email marketing success. First of all, and by far the most important, abandon cart flow. Now, 2/3 of customers generally abandon their carts, so this is huge in getting people back to the store. Now, this is also a very simple flow. It just invites users to go back to their cart, and this is important since people might have multiple reasons to drop in the middle of the checkout, and this is an opportunity for us to bring them back, but also cover some of their concerns. So maybe they're not sure about the shipping or customer service or the checkout security, those kind of things. So let's take a look at these flows here, and here's some examples of how the abandoned cart flow could look like. So very simply, just try to be helpful. So here we saw that you left some items in your cart. Did you have any problems? Here's a link to that cart. If you're not sure, here's also a guarantee, hassle-free returns. Trying to handle those concerns in these emails. So this is very ABC. A couple of quick other examples here. Simply forget something. So very, very similar concept here. This is a clothing store, so they haven't covered as many warranty things or technical things as the previous one. And then in your flow as well, this is very typical these days as well. If they haven't bought from those earlier emails, you can start to try to negotiate a little bit here. Here's a coupon code, 10% off your cart, and it's a one-time coupon code for this customer. This example also introduces a little bit of urgency to this thing, so that's more powerful that way. Sometimes people just cannot decide. Another quick example of that. Oops. And they used a different image here, which is pretty nice than the product image. So there's better viewability perhaps on email. But this is another one. So I'm not beating on this too much here, but this is also where they covered shipping. So perhaps on Shopify, people didn't get to quite that point. Maybe they had questions about it. So this is a nice way to reaffirm them about it. Next one, the welcome series flow. So introducing people to your brand. So users get a bit of an idea of what this is about. So the goal of this email is to start building that relationship with those bot customers. And this is where people enter this flow once they have inputted their email to a pop-up or the footer sign-up form. We recommend sending 2 to 3 emails within the first week. And in those emails, you have a chance to introduce yourself to the brand and get the person know the brand a bit better. We are aiming for emotional impact or emotional connection here, and generally giving them reasons to engage with your emails also now into the future. Now, one thing we recommend is creating a personal message. So, for example, here's an example from Basecamp where they display a personal message from the founder. So after users have signed up to the product, they will get this one. Adds a little bit of a personal touch, but also note that it is asking them to contact directly if there is something. So this is also a good way to understand potential problem pointers on the site or potential problem questions that are causing people not to proceed. And it helps in creating that community a little bit. And here's a quick another video or example. This is an order confirmation email actually. It's the same idea. Okay, so how would that flow typically look like? So somebody subscribed to a newsletter, and then you'll get an email usually immediately, and then another email within 2 to 3 days to get them engaged a bit further. And then you can lead with your best sellers, for example, here, because those are the likely ones to convert on a random person. So we don't know that much about them. So that's where the best sellers are typically powerful. So let's jump into the examples then. So you already saw one example. Here's a couple from more of a visual niche. Simply welcoming them. These emails also have the links, so people can easily get back to the store. So pretty straightforward as well. Here's another one. So they offer free delivery as a gift to make people feel a little bit better about this. And there's a checkout code as well. And here is a little bit of an idea of what they are going to get from this email. It's just something most people miss and definitely should focus on a little bit more. Because people are always looking at like, oh yeah, I have so many emails. Like, what's the value of this? And you want people to understand the value of the email as well. I think they could have done a better job here with that as well, but it's a start. Then a couple of other quick examples. Oliver Cabell. So here they have a very about us type of email. What we do, how we do it. And they are looking to communicate that brand here as well a bit better. And then you have a split banner with shop men, shop women. Next up, a quick one here, different categories to get people back to the store. And also some brand links that people can look into and get to those pages as well. And top category is a good one to follow up with later on. So you have people getting back to the store as well. All right. So that's the welcome series flow. Next up, browse abandonment. Now this is a pretty Klaviyo specific thing. Not many email marketing software offer this, but if you are on a subscriber, you are on that list and you browse a product but abandon it without adding this to the cart, you can be then sent emails. So here's a quick example of that. We noticed that you were browsing around on our site, so our latest collection is epic, etc. So here people click on the shop now, taking it back to that product. And depending how spy-ish you want to be, you can either get a bit general here, or you can go very, very specific like here. So this is a case where they can go straight back to that product and add it to the cart from there. So a bit different than the abandoned cart email, because on the abandoned cart email, you'd guide people straight to the cart. Here they haven't added that to their cart yet, so it's more sensible to guide them to the product page itself. So that's the browse abandonment. So abandoned cart flow, welcome series flow, browse abandonment flow. Those are the three flows that are foundational for the success in e-commerce. Now there is more, and There's 3 great additional flows, and let's cover those now. However, very briefly before we continue, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you should. Why haven't you? Because we cover Shopify, Klaviyo content all the time. It's all practical, super actionable, and it's going to help you a lot as a merchant, as a marketer, to take your game to the next level. So for sure, destroy the subscribe button and make sure to get notified for the videos as well, because this is all new stuff. We built this channel like a course, but it's free. So, and there's no Lamborghinis. It's just purely about what matters now. But, so, Klaviyo flows. Let's get back to this. So back in stock flow is a great additional flow. It's not applicable to all merchants, so I'll just go over it very briefly. However, if you have a back in stock functionality, you can most times integrate this with Klaviyo as well. And this way, when you have a product back in stock, you can have people subscribe to that. And once that product is back, they will get an email like, guess what's back in stock, for example. And that way you can cover some of those scenarios as well with Klaviyo and make sure that you don't have revenue falling through the cracks, in other words. Now this next one is hugely important and could very well be included in the previous 3 as well, since this is the post-purchase flow. Now, one thing that most merchants do as a mistake is that they just focus so much on the first order and they just ignore these customers who have already bought. However, this is their number 1 touch point with you, the most memorable one. What happened when I bought? So, am I going to go back to a bad experience, or did I have a good experience that I would like to repeat? So these have a chance to have a big immediate impact on your business because they help increase customer retention. They do this by turning those one-time visitors into loyal repeat customers, ideally at least. And the purpose of this flow is to send emails right after the customer has made the purchase in order for that customer to have all the information they need, but also to then land them smoothly to becoming a long-term customer. So, examples and ideas for the post-purchase flow. Very simply, you can split it early on. So if this is a repeat purchaser, they would get a different flow compared to if they have never bought before. It's the first time. That's where they would get more of an introductory flow. So that's something that is recommended. Here's an example of how that could look like. So somebody has placed multiple orders, for example. Then that would be thank you for coming back, rather than talking about something more introductory. The most basic email you could ever have is the order confirmation email. However, it's one of the best ones to send out because that's what people open. They open this with a ridiculously high number and they always read it through just to confirm that this is right. So a good opportunity here to make a good first impression. You could upsell here as well. For example, if you had something to add to the order, and that could easily be done here as well with just a click of the button. Then second thing here is just providing clarity on what has happened. So for example, if people have ordered a product, they start to have this timer in their head of waiting for that product to arrive. Now Fitbit does a great job here in providing a tracking number and then also letting them know once the order has shipped. So this way it can be expected. So we know when the product is likely to come. These are very good couple of emails to have on your post-purchase flow, because now I have confidence about the brand. It's not just about selling more, it's also about distilling that confidence, because that confidence will then come and carry over to those repeat purchases as we'd like to have. Some other ideas: help them use the product. So here's how to use the impact harness for a dog. There's a collision, for example, and some other related products here as well. So they bought this one. Here's some information before they get that product on how to use it. And this way builds us that suspense a little bit. Here's a review email from Casper, it's a mattress company. So once they have had the product for a little bit, review the sheets. This is also a very good best practice as well. So you can get more reviews for your products. Here's one a little bit fuzzy here, but the idea is solid. Toss more in. Add before we ship. So similar to what I just said, you could just have a one-click add here. And this also says item ships on the date. And you can see what's in there. So this is from Dollar Save Club. And there's also account information here. So pretty nice. One last idea. So with consumables, you pretty much know when they are going to be out of stock. So a replenishment email is a very good idea to have. How do we turn that one-time order into a habit? This is where it starts from. So, you know, sometimes, okay, if you're in the supplement industry, for example, it's a 30-day supplement. You should have something in 3 weeks to have them buy again, or to basically not lose that customer. Because if that's going to be another month without them ordering, you know that they're very unlikely to come back at that point. So this is the post-purchase ideas. Let's move on to the next flow. And the next flow is the win-back flow. So how do we have less people fall through to the black hole eternity and never come back? That's what the win-back flow tries to combat. Even if your new customers present the primary focus, it's a good idea to also cover these, because the stronger you are on the back end, the more you can compete on the front end as well. The general idea here is that users who have not returned despite the post-purchase flow may need a little bit of extra push, extra motivation, extra encouragement to come back. And many times it is further reminders to those people. However, not only and not always only that. So here's a couple of ideas that you can use for your win-back flows to engage them. And let's start with an example from Uber. You can switch this up a little bit. This is where people have signed up to the app, but they haven't tried it yet. So a similar concept could be that you haven't tried us for like last 6 months, and then you can drop a little bit of in their account or give them some incentive to come back to become a customer. So that's a simple idea from Uber, and here's how that would look like on the Klaviyo backend. So when somebody places an order, you wait for, in this case, for example, 180 days. And note that there is still the welcome sequences and all the other flows are still flowing. So it's not like the customer is completely on the dark for this long. But here's a good example of how to re-engage. Just note that it's been a long time. Like, we're still here. We haven't abandoned you. but would be great to like be friends again type of thing. And then there's incentive and a reminder of the incentive. Now here 3-4 flows is fine, or 3-4 emails, because if people are not engaging with these, then it's just going to hurt your overall account deliverability. And there's no need to overfight the fight. If somebody is not returning the love, then you can move on. So some examples here. So we miss you. It's been a long time. Here's an incentive, 15% off, free shipping, and then providing them with some recommendations, customer favorites, bestsellers, social proof of what could be done, what they could do, because they probably have forgot about most of the offering already. And there's some quick links that they could be interested in. Next example, we'd love to catch up, show all the new stuff we've been working on. So there's novelty here. It's not the same old store that you used to have. There's something that can spike your interest. So you should come back and check this out. Another one, where did you go? 10 great reasons to catch up. And there's a bit of a brand asset to this one as well. And what they can expect. Now, in many cases, they were customers, so they know this, or they used to know. It's just a reminder for them to go and check this out. So that is the win back flow. Back in stock flow, post-purchase flow, win back flow, all working for you now. And you are slowly chipping away on these benefits, which is great. Now, a couple of last things you need is configuring your lists and segments. So when you take over an account, there are 2 of these things, and these are important for the flows, because there's no flows without these 2, lists and segments. So briefly, lists differ from segments in a way that they are defined by a set of conditions rather than a fixed list of people. So lists are conditional, segments are fixed, and you can segment your lists, but you cannot really list out your segments in a way where segment is a part of the list. If it is a little bit confusing, don't worry. It will make sense once you get into this a bit further. Well, let's look into the segments then. And what are the 3 segments that we should have on the account? So configuring the most important segments for Klaviyo. And this circles all the way back to the account opening or the video opening here. So the warm-up segments, these are the ones that are likely to engage a lot. And this is a good way to warm up the account to avoid high spam and unsubscribe rates. So we start by warming it up, sending it to the smallest segment of warm-ups. And then once we start seeing improvements, we send it to a more significant segment. Then the VIP segments, since not all buyers are created equal, some are a lot more valuable, more whale-like. And they are the ones that have bought multiple times, for example, or bought for a high amount. Then we can treat them a little bit differently. Send them, for example, new products instead of discounts. And sneak peeks. Provide them sales that are starting earlier. That kind of thing, to make them feel like a bit more VIP. And to help them keep committed to the brand. And then we have our trash, unengaged segments. And these are the ones that haven't engaged much. And it's an important one nevertheless, because this is profiles that we are looking to get rid of if they don't engage with us anymore. So you could think of it as the opposite of VIP segments. So here, again, like warming up, initial segment, like the ones that are likely to engage. Then we have the VIP, we have the trash or the unengaged. And this is also one where we will do market as an opposite. So engaged 30 days, engaged 90 days, engaged 60 days. And then you have unengaged over 90 days, for example. And that way you can also see the account of how that looks overall for a good clarity on that. Then once the flows are set up, you will be slowly looking into bringing in campaigning as well. So this is your newsletter, and it's a good way to keep them up to date, especially seasonally, since flows are a little bit more difficult to set up in a seasonal manner. And also, as the name says, news. So things are happening to the brand, and there are some relevant things that people might be interested in. Now, when people typically think of email marketing, they think of the newsletter, but really the flows are what the email marketing is for e-commerce. So there are flows, and then there's newsletters or campaigns, as they're told about. And for newsletters, you typically have them be a bit more general, since you would be sending them to your entire list. So that is it. A long video about Klaviyo flows, but I think a lot of value here. It's not necessarily the sexiest topic, but these are the things that will get you results in e-commerce. I heard a great saying a few years ago: what wins in e-commerce is pressure over time, and flows are a way to automate that pressure, so that you will just keep pounding on those people a little bit until they either tap out or they buy. And that's the whole idea with this. We want to keep it top of mind, even though it's getting more and more difficult at all times. Thank you very much. If you are a e-commerce merchant that has already had a fair bit of success, you can go and check growgurus.com about what we do and get in touch from there if you're interested in these kind of services. Take care. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next week's video. Cheers.